Imagine getting hit off!
There's something kind of weird about being a gamer in 2025. Like, on paper, this should be the best time in history to be into games. We've got crazy graphics, crossplay, instant downloads, VR headsets that can make you cry, and games so massive you can live in them for months. Yet, a lot of people, maybe even you, feel kind of burnt out. Like gaming isn't as fun as it used to be. And the question that keeps popping up is, what happened? Because when you scroll through social media, it's a lot of complaining. Not to say that it's not warranted. Mostly $70 games for unfinished content, battle passes everywhere, the same sequels every year. Where's the innovation? It's the constant echo chamber of disappointment. But at the same time, you might see that same person ranting about AAA games logged 300 hours into Baldur's Gate 3 or Helldivers 2. You'll see them stay up until 3 a.m., grinding out achievements in Lethal Company, or laughing with friends in Phasmophobia. So it's not exactly that gaming has stopped being fun, it's that we've forgotten how to feel that fun. Modern gaming is a paradox, the most advanced it's ever been, and somehow the most exhausting. But the truth is, the joy's still there. It's just buried under noise, buried under live service models, endless updates, microtransactions, and people screaming about frame rates on Twitter. The magic didn't disappear, it's just way harder to notice now. You know how everyone says, man, gaming just isn't like it used to be. Yeah, that's nostalgia talking. And nostalgia is a powerful liar. Don't get me wrong, gaming was incredible back then. We had couch co-op, weird experimental ideas, cheat codes, and games that were just funny. But every era has its problems. We just don't remember the bad parts because nostalgia acts like an Instagram filter over the past. You probably don't remember how brutal memory cards were, or how half the games on the PS2 shelf were shovelware licensed garbage, or how online gaming on dial-up made you feel like you were trying to connect to another dimension with a tin can and a string. But when we think back, our brains edit out the frustration. We remember the moments, that time you beat Sephiroth after 50 tries, or when your friend showed you the secret star in Mario 64, or when you first saw Halo's Street campaign ending and your teenage brain melted. That's the thing. It's not that games used to be better, it's that they used to be different. When we were younger, we had more patience, more imagination. We didn't care about patches or microtransactions or launch day bugs because we didn't even know those were things to care about. We just played, and that's what made it fun. So when people say gaming isn't fun anymore, they're half right. Not because games got necessarily worse, but because we changed how we approach them. Let's just face it. The industry grew up, and so did we. Gaming grew up fast. It went from this quirky, nerdy hobby to a trillion-dollar global industry that politicians reference and tech companies exploit. And like any industry that scales up that fast, it started chasing money first, art second. We went from one-time purchases to battle passes, from expansion packs to season updates, from play to unlock to pay to progress. And that shift changed how we experience games. They became less about moments of joy and more about systems of engagement. You're not just playing anymore, you're being retained. But even through all that, the heart of gaming, the why, never went away. The reason we all started playing in the first place wasn't graphics, wasn't money, wasn't even community. It was curiosity. That moment when you realize a game lets you do something you've never done before. Whether that's building a city in SimCity, exploring space in No Man's Sky, or just seeing how far you can throw a ragdoll in Goat Simulator. Fun, real fun, comes from discovery. The kind that makes you laugh or gas or lose track of time. And as much as people say modern games are soulless, that spark still shows up everywhere if you know where to look. So I know many of you might be asking, what is fun now? That's the thing, right? Fun in gaming has changed. It used to be simple. Jump on things, collect coins, beat the boss, roll credits. Now it's more layered, more psychological. There's the kind of fun you get from challenge, like Elden Ring, the kind from creativity, like Minecraft, and the kind from chaos, like GTA Online, and the kind from connection. Those late night Discord calls where you and your friends are laughing so hard you can't breathe. Fun isn't completely gone. It just evolved into a different form. It's more complicated now because we're more complicated. But that doesn't mean it's weaker. If anything, it's richer. It's just buried under cynicism and overexposure. It's hard to feel joy when every game reveal is instantly followed by a million hot takes dissecting the trailer frame by frame. It's hard to be hyped when you've seen 200 failed launches. And it's hard to be surprised when everything leaks 6 months early. But here's the thing. Games still surprise us. You can't predict when a little indie like Dave the Diver or Vampire Survivors is going to take over the world. You can't plan the exact moment a boss fight hits you emotionally, or when a soundtrack hits so hard you just stop moving. That's what makes gaming still magical. Even in this overexposed world, it sneaks up on you. And by now you might be asking, why does this video even exist? So, yeah, that's what this whole thing's about. This isn't going to be a cynical rant about the state of the industry. We've all seen those. This is more like a reminder that gaming, despite the noise, despite the corporate greed, despite the fatigue, is still fun. Because behind every broken promise or half-baked launch, there's still games that make us feel something. Games that remind us why we fell in love with this medium in the first place. And if we stop to look past the discourse, we might realize that the joy never left. It just got buried under updates, DLC, and discourse. So let's dig it back up. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. It makes your old GameCube look like the gates of heaven, and that one janky PS1 platformer feel like it cured your childhood anxiety. It's the emotional equivalent of an Instagram filter that hides all the acne and bad lighting from the past. But when it comes to gaming, nostalgia does more than just make us feel warm inside. It actively rewrites our memories. Ask anyone over 25 and they'll tell you the same story. Man, games just used to hit different. But here's the secret. They didn't hit different. We did. When you were a kid, a good game wasn't just entertainment. It was a portal. You didn't just play Pokemon Red. You lived in that world. You didn't just beat Shadow of the Colossus. You felt it in your soul. Every pixel, every sound effect, every boss fight carried this weight because it was all new. You hadn't seen it before. You didn't have the experience, the cynicism, the overexposure that you have now. You were discovering something for the first time. That's why nostalgia is so powerful. It's not about the games themselves. It's about you at that time in your life. The version of you who didn't know what a game engine was, who didn't analyze games like a critic or care about Metacritic scores. You were just playing a game. Let's talk about something called the first time effect. Think about the first time you experienced something truly new in a game. The first time you saw the sun set over Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time. The first time Halo 3's Warthog run kicked in and the soundtrack swelled. The first time Dark Souls made you feel both miserable and euphoric after beating the boss. Those moments hit hard because they were your first. You can't recreate that. No matter how many Souls-like you play, none will ever match that first "holy crap, I did it" rush. That's not bad game design. That's just how the brain works. The first time something triggers a big emotional or dopamine response, your brain lights up like fireworks. The second time, it's smaller. By the 10th, you're just nodding like, Yeah, cool boss. And that's why so many gamers chase nostalgia. We're all trying to relive that first time. That sitting on the floor with your friends, controllers tangled, laughing until 3 a.m. energy. That this world feels infinite feeling. That I can't believe like this exists feeling. But here's the thing, those feelings don't vanish because games got worse. They vanish because you grew up. You got better at understanding the patterns. You can see the game design. You can feel the marketing. You notice the seams. And once you see behind the curtain, it's harder to believe in magic. But that doesn't mean the magic's gone. It just means you have to find it in new places. So there's this phrase that tends to float around gaming communities called the Golden Age. People say it like it was an actual time period. Oh, gaming's golden age was the PS2 era. No, it was the NES era. Actually, it was when Half-Life 2 dropped. And the truth is, there's no single golden age. The golden age is just your age, when gaming felt pure for you. For some people, it was split screen Halo 2. For others, it's Fortnite Chapter 1. For a younger generation, it might be Minecraft and Among Us. Each of those eras had magic, but they also had trash. The PS2 era, drowning in licensed shovelware and broken ports. The 360 era, riddled with red rings of death and DLC scams. The PS4 era, microtransactions central. Every golden age had problems. We just forget them because the good memories hit harder. It's like remembering high school. You don't think about the acne or the bad cafeteria pizza. You remember hanging out with your friends and laughing until you couldn't breathe. That's how nostalgia works. It filters. It keeps the emotions, tosses the context. And because of that, every new generation of gamers will think their era was the peak. Until 10 years later, when they're the ones ranting about how games used to be better. Nostalgia isn't just about memories, it's about comfort. When gets a little chaotic or overwhelming, we retreat to what feels safe. That's why people replay Skyrim for the 15th time. Why Mario 64 speedruns are still a thing. Why remasters and remakes sell like crazy. It's not just marketing, it's emotional refuge. Revisiting old games feels like going home. The sounds, the art style, the controls, they all click instantly, like muscle memory of happiness. Even if the game is clunky or dated, the emotional connection makes it beautiful again. It's like flipping through old photos and realizing how much you missed the person you were back then. But nostalgia can also trick you. It can make you compare every new experience to a glorified memory that never truly existed. You start expecting every new game to give you the same rush as your childhood favorites, and when it doesn't, you blame the industry. You say gaming's dead, but it's not dead. You're just older, and the magic doesn't come as easily. That sounds depressing, but it's actually freeing, because it means you can stop chasing the past and start enjoying games for what they are now. One of the biggest reasons nostalgia feels stronger than modern fun is because of how gaming culture itself changed. Back then, we played. Now, we consume. When you were a kid, a new game meant months of exploration. You didn't know what was coming next. There weren't guides, reviews, or spoiler-heavy YouTube thumbnails 30 minutes after release. You just went in blind. Every discovery felt like yours. Now, games drop with pre-orders, influencer reviews, leaks, and full walkthroughs before they even release. You don't experience discovery, you experience content. You're not playing to find something new, you're consuming to keep up with the conversation. That shift from curiosity to consumption is what kills a lot of the fun. And nostalgia reminds us of a time when we didn't care about discourse or DLC or frame rates. We just played because it looked fun. That's it. So maybe gaming didn't lose its joy. Maybe we just forgot how to approach it. Even though nostalgia can distort things, it's not the enemy. In fact, it's proof that games mean something to us. That feeling you get when you hear the Pokemon Center theme, that's connection. When the Halo 3 menu music hits and you instantly feel 12-year-old again, that's legacy. It's proof that this medium can create memories that stick for decades. Movies don't do that as often. Books rarely do. But games, they build entire eras of identity. The trick is learning how to use nostalgia without letting it control you. You can appreciate the past without needing to live in it. You can replay old games without resenting the new ones. You can hold on to what gaming meant to you, while still letting it mean something new. Because honestly, that's the beauty of gaming. It evolves, just like we do. And even if it feels like the magic has changed, that doesn't mean it's gone. It just means we're looking in the wrong place. Not to diss books or movies. They're both great. I both partake of these medias often. It's just, for me, gaming is much more personally connective and emotionally. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room. The corporate machine, also known as monetization of gaming. Let's be honest, modern gaming has a money problem. Not in the games aren't profitable sense. Oh no, they're very profitable. But in the why does this game want my credit card more than my time sense. The last decade turned video games from a playground into a spreadsheet. We went from unlock new armor by beating the boss to buy it in the store for $14.99. From earn rewards through skills to spin a digital slot machine and hope the RNG gods bless you. And as players, we noticed, we felt it, that slow erosion of what made games feel pure. It's easy to see why games have kinda lost their soul. Because from the outside, it looks like the fun's been replaced with monetization hooks and data analytics. But here's the twist. Even inside this corporate nightmare, the fun still exists. You just have to dig past the receipts. There was a time, long ago, when gaming being done meant something. You buy a disc or cartridge, take it home, and that was the full experience. Sure, there might be secrets or unlockables, but everything was there. No updates, no patches, no extra costs. Now, games launch like early access betas with 50-day roadmaps and content pipelines. You buy a $70 game that immediately asks for another $20 season pass, and the wild part is, most of us just shrug and do it because it's normal now. Publishers realized something around the mid-2010s. People will pay to save time, and not just a little, a lot. Once they figured out that players' time was as valuable as their money, the monetization floodgates opened. Battle passes, loot boxes, microtransactions, subscription models, it all blurred together until playing a game started to feel like managing a second job. The fun wasn't gone, but it became something you had to earn back through all the noise. Let's talk about a curse word for a second. Engagement. Every modern game is obsessed with it. Developers don't measure success by did people love it anymore. They measure it by how long did people stay. The goal isn't to make you have fun, it's to make you never stop playing. That's why every menu looks like a casino lobby. Why every match rewards you get with a dopamine-drenched level up screen. Why games drop new cosmetics every week to keep you just one more level invested. It's not inherently evil, it's just marketing psychology. But it changes how we feel about gaming. It makes every session feel like a transaction, every achievement a chore. Yet somehow, even under all that manipulation, real fun still slips through. You can still boot up Apex Legends, ignore the store, and have the time of your life when you pull off a wild win. You can still jump into Fortnite and spend hours messing around with friends instead of buying skins. The systems might be built for profit, but the moments are still built for joy. Okay, okay, so this is kind of a hot take, but here's something people don't really like to admit. Most developers hate this stuff too. They don't want to make battle passes and retention funnels. They want to make cool worlds, fun mechanics, and creative experiences. But they don't always have that power anymore. Publishers, shareholders, executives, those are the people steering the monetization ships. Developers are just the ones forced to paddle. So when a game launches full of microtransactions or day one DLC, it's not always a sign of lazy developers. It's the result of an industry that got too big for its own good. When budgets are pushing 300 million and one flop can bankrupt the studio, it's no wonder companies try to squeeze every last drop out of their players. It's ugly, but it's the side effect of success. Gaming used to be a playground for weirdos and dreamers. Now it's a global business run by analysts. But even then, even when corporate hands try to choke the creativity out of everything, the artist inside the machine still finds ways to sneak their soul into the code. You can feel it in Cyberpunk 2077's quest, in the passion of Final Fantasy XIV's writing, in the sheer absurdity of Doom Eternal. There's still art in there, it's just hidden beneath quarterly reports and marketing plans. But, okay, we do have to talk about live service games as a service, because they kind of become the symbol of modern gaming burnout. What started as a cool idea, what if your favorite game kept growing forever, turned into an exhausting arms race. Every company wanted their own Destiny, their own Genshin Impact, their own Fortnite. Now every game wants to be your only game. They demand constant attention, weekly logins, endless grind loops. It's not about enjoyment, it's about commitment. And that's why people burn out, because gaming used to be an escape. Now it sometimes feels like a responsibility. But again, I have to reiterate, that doesn't mean the fun's gone. It just means it's harder to find. You can still dive into Helldivers 2 and have a blast, because that game understands what fun is. It's chaos, teamwork, failure, and triumph. No complicated systems required. Some games still remember that players don't want infinite conflict. They just want meaningful fun. Here's the funny thing though. Sometimes corporate greed ends up giving us greatness by accident. Think about Baldur's Gate 3. That game's success was a giant middle finger to the entire industry's obsession with monetization. It launched complete. No battle pass, no microtransactions, no roadmap. Just a finished, incredible game. And what happened? It made everyone else look stupid. Publishers scrambled to explain why their live service flop wasn't hitting the same. Players rallied behind Larian like they were the saviors of gaming. Suddenly, being night greedy became good marketing. That's the irony. Corporate greed might dominate the market, but it can't control how players respond. When something genuinely great drops, something made with care, it spreads like wildfire. Word of mouth still beats algorithms. Even in the darkest corners of the industry, creativity finds cracks to grow through. At the end of the day, fun is unkillable. You can't patch it out. You can't lock it behind DLC, and you can't fake it. Players can tell when a game is fun, and no amount of marketing jargon changes that. Even the most corporate monetized market-tested game can't survive if it's boring. Look at all the live service games that have died in the past few years. All those Destiny killers and next-gen experiences, gone. Because they forgot one simple thing: fun always wins. That's why people still play Minecraft, still mod Skyrim, still speedrun Super Mario 64. They're fun. Not because they're perfect, but because they feel alive. Games like Deep Rock Galactic, Hades, Stardew Valley, and Slay the Spire thrive not because of graphics or monetization, but because they remind people what playing feels like. That flow state where time disappears and you forget the world for a while. That's what all the corporate noise can never destroy. The industry can chase trends all it wants, but as long as one person somewhere picks up a controller and grins, gaming's doing just fine. If that last part made you a little depressed about corporate gaming, take a deep breath, because here's the part where things get hopeful. Despite monetization, season passes, and overhyped AAA launches, the core of gaming, the magic, is alive and kicking. And it's hiding in some of the most unexpected places. Indie games, community projects, with just the sheer creativity of players themselves. Indie games are like the rebellious little sibling of the gaming world. They don't have massive budgets, they don't have $1 billion marketing department, and they certainly don't have the luxury of DLC pipelines. What they do have is freedom. Freedom to experiment, freedom to make weird ideas a reality, freedom to say, let's make a game that's fun first and profitable second. Look at games like Hollow Knight, Celeste, Untitled Goose Game, Vampire Survivors, or Tunic. These aren't just games, they're experiences designed with love, care, and a deep understanding of what makes playing joyful. The developers don't have to worry about investors breathing down their necks. They can craft worlds that make players laugh, cry, or scream in frustration in ways AAA studios rarely risk anymore. Indie games often succeed because they remember what gaming is supposed to feel like. It's not about loot boxes or microtransactions. It's about discovery, challenge, and delight. And the best part? You can feel that love in every frame. You can tell the developers actually played the game they made, and that energy translates directly to you as the player. And if indie games are the heart, communities are the pulse. Look at modding communities. Some of the most influential gaming experiences of the last decade have been created not by big studios, but by players themselves. Skyrim mods that turn it into a survival game, Minecraft servers that create entire fantasy worlds, GTA 5 mods that turn Los Santos into a zombie apocalypse. These communities aren't just extending games, they're creating new ones. They prove that the gaming experience isn't confined to what the publisher intended. Players take control, and in doing so, they rediscover the joy of creativity. Even multiplayer communities keep the spark alive in games that feel corporate or stale. Look at Among Us or Phasmophobia. Games that are technically simple, but somehow manage to generate endless laughter and tension and shared stories. The fun isn't coming from the graphics, the polish, or the marketing. It's coming from the people you play with. Human interaction remains one of the most potent ingredients for gaming joy. There's a common complaint. The internet ruined gaming. Yeah, sure, it brought toxicity, spoilers, and review armies, but it also brought discovery, connection, and collaboration on a scale we've never seen before. You can now find niche games you would never have known existed. You can join speedrunning communities that share tricks you'd never figure out on your own. You can watch creative streams where players invent challenges nobody thought possible. The internet didn't exactly kill fun, it democratized it. It put power back in the hands of the people. And in doing so, it created moments of shared joy, surprise, and wonder that are just as memorable as any classic game from the good old days. Well, let's take a step back. Let's get specific. What makes gaming fun even today? Number 1, discovery. Finding a hidden cave in Elden Ring, unlocking a secret level in a platform, or stumbling into an Easter egg nobody expected. Number 2, chaos. That one time a ragdoll physics bug in GTA 5 sent your car flying into the sunset, or your squad wiping in Deep Rock Galactic in the funniest way possible. Number 3, connection. Playing Mario Kart with friends on a Friday night, screaming as someone steals your blue cell, or co-opting and overcooked until someone inevitably flips the pan into the void. Number 4, challenge. Beating a boss that seemed impossible, completing a speedrun, or mastering a mechanic you struggled with for hours. These moments aren't dependent on budget, graphics, or AAA polish. They're dependent on you, the player, and a game giving you space to experience something surprising, exciting, or hilarious. Here's the thing about gaming. Fun is resilient. The industry can over-monetize, it can overhype, it can even disappoint us again and again. But fun has a way of sneaking through the cracks. It shows up in unexpected places, an indie game no one thought would succeed, a mod that turns a boring world into a playground, a spontaneous multiplayer session that spirals into chaos. Fun doesn't rely on perfection. It doesn't need a corporate wrestling or an endless development budget. Fun is raw. It's a momentary connection between you, the controller, and whatever world you've decided to inhabit for the next hour. And that, above all else, is why gaming is still worth it. No matter how frustrating, overhyped, or monetized the landscape feels, there's always something out there capable of making you smile, scream, laugh, or cry. Even when the world of gaming seems to have gone corporate, shallow, or cynical, the spark remains. And you can find it if you're willing to look. By now, we've covered a lot. We've talked about nostalgia, corporate greed, monetization, and how modern gaming can feel exhausting. We've also explored the spark that still exists, indie games, communities, and pure moments of pure fun that remind us why we fell in love with this hobby in the first place. So why does it still matter? Why should we keep playing when it sometimes feels like gaming is more stress than joy? Games are more than just entertainment. They're a cultural language. They're stories we experience, worlds we inhabit, and challenges we conquer. Unlike movies or books, games require participation. You aren't just watching, you're part of the story, part of the world, part of the moment. And that matters. Even in 2025, even with all the noise, the potential for impact hasn't disappeared. Games still teach empathy. Life is Strange, Firewatch, Resilience, Dark Souls, Sekiro, creativity, Minecraft, PlayStation Dreams, I know, and connection, Among Us, Final Fantasy XIV. No other medium blends art, challenge, and interactivity in quite the same way. And that's why the fun we find in gaming is more than just dopamine, it's meaning. Think about why you started gaming in the first place. The desire to explore new worlds, the thrill of improving, learning, and overcoming, the joy of sharing moments with others, whether friends or strangers, the chance to take a break from the real world, even for a few hours. None of those things have disappeared. They've just shifted. Maybe the games are flashier, maybe the systems are more complex, maybe the hype is louder. But the core reasons we play remain the same. Even in a landscape full of frustration, people log in every day, create content, mod games, run servers, and laugh with friends. That's proof that fun survives because people make it survive. Well, okay, here's the good news. Finding joy in modern games doesn't require a time machine or a $300 headset. You just need to shift your focus. Seek passion projects like indie games, creative mods, or the smaller communities I talked about earlier. They often offer experiences AAA titles can't touch. Ignore the noise. Release dates, DLC complaints, and Twitter outrage are optional. Your experience is yours. Play with your friends. Even a simple game becomes extraordinary when shared. Experiment. Don't stick to the mainstream. Try weird mechanics, old classic, or absurd titles. Fun often hides in the unexpected. Rediscover that first time feeling. Even if you can't go back, you can experience new worlds with the same sense of curiosity that made gaming magical to begin with. Gaming is a sandbox of possibility. The fun isn't sold in stores or advertised in trailers. It's found when you choose to engage with the parts that excite, challenge, or amuse you. And hell, let's be honest, games can also be healed. They let us process frustration safely, overcome challenges at our own pace, and connect with others in a way that sometimes feels impossible offline. And yes, even corporate games, live service titles, and free-to-play experiences can offer those moments. You might pull in an unexpected clutch in Call of Duty, laugh uncontrollably at physics in a tonally accurate battle simulator, or team up in Destiny 2 to finally beat a raid. Those moments remind us that fun isn't just nostalgia or indie charm. It's experience. It's interaction. It's being alive in a world that lets you make mistakes, laugh, succeed, and discover. Well, here's the takeaway. Gaming is still fun. Not always convenient, not always perfect, and not always fair. But fun is still there in every well-designed indie game, every shared multiplayer session, and every unexpected moment that makes you yell, laugh, or cry. The industry might change, hype might overwhelm, and companies might push the envelope too far, but joy persists. It's resilient, it's human, and it's a reminder that gaming isn't just about pixels on the screen. It's about connection, creativity, and living an experience that only games can offer. The next time you sit down to play, remember this: the fun doesn't leave, it's just you waiting for you to look at it. Maybe it's in a game you've never heard of, a mod, a multiplayer lobby, or even just a single hilarious moment you can't explain. Gaming is still magic, and if you're willing to find it, it's waiting for you. All of this whole video is to say, fun is the reason we play. Curiosity is the reason we explore, and connection is the reason we return. Modern gaming may be messy, loud, and sometimes frustrating, but the spark is still alive. Whether it's in a pixelated indie jam, a chaotic co-op session, or a massive AAA world that somehow still inspires awe, gaming remains an experience that can surprise, delight, and even transform us. So please, don't despair over microtransactions, battle passes, or hype trains. The games themselves and the moments they create are still magical. The joy is still there. You just have to grab a controller and let it find you. Gaming is fun, gaming is alive, and the best part, thanks to indie devs and co-op sessions and love developers still so for these games. It always will be.